This has always been one of my favorite kinds of videos to film. I don't always film monthly TBRs. I might start trying to do it again, but I always love filming like quarterly or seasonally TBRs because I find them a lot more like freeing and less structured and less committal. So I'm really excited about this. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys about all the books I want to read this spring. So basically, this is my like spring reading list or spring TBR or whatever I decide to title this video. I actually have quite a few books I want to talk to you guys about today. So you might want to grab like a tea or something because I assume this video is probably going to be like a bit longer than my usual videos. To try and limit how long this video is, I'm not going to talk too much about the books. I'm just going to talk about like why I currently want to read them like right now. And I will leave Goodreads links for all of these books in the description box down below in case you want to like know more about them or read up more on them. Without further ado, let's get started on all the books I want to read this spring. Okay, we'll start with the book that was on the top of that pile because I feel like you already saw it, and that is Dress Codes for Small Towns by Courtney Stevens. I will say that the tagline for this book is, "The year I was 17, I had 5 best friends, and I was in love with all of them for different reasons." When I read that tagline, I immediately put this in my cart to buy at the bookstore because I thought that this book was going to be about a group of polyamorous friends in high school. And I was so intrigued and I was so excited and I was like there for the book. But then I read the rest of the synopsis and that's not what it was about. And the synopsis kind of sounded a little juvenile-ish to me. So I didn't pick it up. And then I saw Kayla from Books and Lala's review video of this book in her like wrap up of 2017, and I was like, oh, that actually sounds really good. The synopsis on the inside cover of the book actually isn't that intriguing. So I went back out and I picked it up recently, and now I really want to read it. Also, I haven't read a good fast-paced teen in a really long time, so I hope that this feeds that need for me. Next, I have another YA novel, and it's also another YA novel that I haven't hauled yet, so a sneak peek at some upcoming book hauls coming your way. And that is I Have Lost My Way by Gayle Forman. I love Gayle Forman. I've always loved Gayle Forman. I've loved everything that I've read by Gayle Forman in the past. I actually don't really know what this is about. I just pre-ordered the book because it was by Gayle Forman. I literally just didn't even need to read the synopsis. I was already there. I didn't read up too much on the synopsis before I bought this because I like to go into books blind. Wow, words. And because I know I love Gayle Forman, I didn't think I really needed to know much about the plot, but I do know that it has multiple main characters and I have high hopes that there will be multiple narrations throughout this book. So I'm really excited for that. Next, we have 2 books that are actually quite similar to one another. They're also both kind of romancy books. I find that in the spring, I'm in the mood for that kind of read, but I want it to be like well written, and I have high hopes for both of these books. The first book is This Love Story Will Self-Destruct by Leslie Cohen. I talked about this book in my most recent book haul, which I will leave linked down below. It seems like it's going to be a dual narrated book about these 2 people who meet and then they don't get along and then they keep meeting, and through the progression of continuing to meet, they realize that they actually have stuff in common and they kind of like each other and they start falling for each other. But it seems like it'll be kind of like quirky, and I read the first couple of pages in the bookstore before I bought it, and I really liked the way that the like writing flowed, so I have really high hopes for this. I haven't seen anyone who's read this, so if you know of any bloggers or if you personally have read this, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Hi, Parker. Hi, you want to be in the video too? You want to come lay in Mama's lap? Come here. Good job. Sit down. Sit down. The second book, which is a lot similar to This Love Story Will Self-Destruct, is One Day by David Nichols. I have had this on my TBR for years. This is one of those books that I'm like pretty positive I'm going to absolutely adore. It's dual narrated. It like is really about like the trials and tribulations of being a human and relationships and how they function. It's not supposed to be fluffy. It's not supposed to be like, you know, happy ending, fairy tale-esque, and you know that going into it. And I love books like that. I also love books that like seem like they are going to be fairy tale ending-y. But both of these are dual narrated and about people who like, you know, have consistent meetings and they change their outcomes and things, and I'm excited. I'm excited for both of them. Next, I have a like more literary fiction read. Actually, the next two books are both kind of literary fiction. The first one is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. This is also a sneak peek at upcoming book hauls. I don't know much about this. I know that it gets like rave reviews all over all the time. I have friends who say that I will love this book. And again, I read the first few pages in the bookstore and I swear I was immediately hooked. I almost just sat down in the middle of the bookstore and kept reading it because I was so hooked. The narrator is so like engrossing. Like you start reading it and you're there. You are ready to commit to this character in this story for like the amount of time it takes you to read the book. And I find not all authors can do that like right away in a book, and this one did a really good job of it. So very, very, very excited for it. The second literary fiction novel on this list is another one that was in the book haul that I mentioned earlier, and that is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This follows a family who loses one of their children. They have 3 children and one of their children dies, and the whole book is about like what happened to that daughter and how she died, but really it's supposed to be about like how this family copes with what happened. So I have really high hopes that this will be like a very strong character-driven novel. And I love character-driven novels. I don't like murder mysteries. I don't like anything to do with like things along that line at all. So I hope that this is more character-driven than it is like murder mystery. But we shall see. Next is my only 9 to 12 book on this reading list. Doesn't mean that it'll be the only 9 to 12 book I read in the next 3 months, but it's the only one on this list. And that is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. This gets rave reviews everywhere. Every booktuber I know who's read it has like rated it 5 stars. Every blogger I know who's read it gave it 5 stars. I feel like this book is talked about so highly all the time that I need to read it before I accidentally get spoiled. It has a female lead character. It seems like it's gonna have like a slightly twisted and dark plot line while also being kind of like classic 9 to 12 adventure story, and like I am there for that. Next I have kind of a like rom-com-y teen book, or what I hope will be a rom-com-y teen book, and that is 9 Days and 9 Nights by Katie Cotugno. This is the sequel to 99 Days by Katie Cotugno. Wow, I'm having a real hard time with words today. I really liked 99 Days. I found that the characters were all very, very flawed, but at the same time redeemable. And I really liked that the main character wasn't picture perfect. Like she made a lot of mistakes, she did a lot of things wrong, but she was also in high school and, you know, no offense, but like maybe you lived a perfect life, but like I made a lot of mistakes in my teenage years. Like I connected to the fact that Katie Cotugno wrote a character that was like so flawed and made a lot of mistakes, and yet you still like felt for her while you read it. However, 99 Days ended in such a way that it really didn't need a sequel at all, or didn't seem like it would get one. So I'm kind of worried, but also excited about what this book will be like. This is also an advanced copy that I got from HarperCollins Canada. This book comes out in May. I had to do math. Next, I want to read a few fantasy novels. The first book is actually technically a novella, and that is The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. For those of you who don't know, The Name of the Wind is probably my favorite book of all time. I could not recommend that book highly enough, and I still haven't read this because I'm trying so hard to like hold on to all the things Patrick Rothfuss has written, because there's still no release date for Doors of Stone, which is the 3rd book in the series. So, but I do really want to get to this as soon as I can because I love Ari and I really can't wait for her story. I've heard that this is like, funny I know, a slower book. Apparently nothing really happens, but again, I really just like good writing and good characters, so like I know I love Ari as a character and I know I love Patrick Rothfuss's writing, so I don't care much that nothing will really happen in this book. I also want to try to finish Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I've actually already started this. I'm like 1/3 or 1/2 or whatever that is in math terms through the book already. I just need to finish the book. I put this down a while back to read something else and I just never picked it back up. It is really good. I'm really liking it. I just like need a push to finally finish the book. For those of you who don't know, this is kind of like a fairy tale retelling that takes place in a world where once every 10 years this man, who they call the dragon, comes down and takes one of the girls from the village, and she goes and lives with him for 10 years, and you don't really know what he does or what the purpose is of that, and it follows a really strong-willed, kind of tomboyish female main character who gets chosen to go. I feel like that's the most I could tell you without spoiling anything, while also somehow sounding intriguing. I don't know. And the last fantasy novel I want to read in the next few months is actually like my most anticipated want to read right now book, and I just haven't been able to pick it up because of trying to finish Kafka on the Shore, and that is Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. This is the sequel to Bear and the Nightingale. Bear and the Nightingale is so far in 2018 the best book that I have read this year. It's so good. The writing is phenomenal. I could not recommend it highly enough. It is like Russian folklore retelling, and it's just phenomenal. And this is the sequel, and I'm so excited about it. I really want to get to it as soon as humanly possible. If you haven't read Bear and the Nightingale, you really should. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about an audiobook series that I want to try to read in the next few months. I'm currently like a quarter of the way through the first book, and that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. I do have the physical book, and every so often I will read from the physical book, but for the most part I'm listening to the audiobook, and I am loving it. I love all the characters, I love everything that's happening. It's like super slow burn, and like I'm invested in the slow burn of this series. The writing is great. I'm loving it so much. It has like classic New York feel while also having like tons of main characters, which I love, shocking. And also has this like really weird like horror, murder, mystery, like paranormal feel as well. I don't really want to tell you more than that because I feel like only knowing that much is actually like the best way to go into this book. Okay, so here are all of the books that I want to try to read in the next few months. Chances are I won't read them all, but these are definitely the ones that are currently at the top of my TBR list. If you really want me to read one of these things more than anything else, make sure to comment down below and let me know. Also, make sure to comment and let me know what you want to read this spring. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys soon with another one. Happy reading.